Sergei Tsytsarev Jr., his business partner, his father has the same name, but his business partner wrote this stuff, and I found out that he's been convicted of grand larceny. He had his license suspended for 3 years, and he just hopped states from New Jersey to New York to be able to continue to practice, and that's considered acceptable under our current system. And here he has this wacky website with references to group sex, divorcees, underage women, and at one point it says, well, don't judge a man based on his behaviors because it doesn't show his full personality. It depends on the circumstances and just separate events. And it says, quote unquote, every man can be a weakling, gigolo, or bastard sometimes. So it's if you're looking at somebody who knows what I know about, psychologically profiling a criminal, and you're looking at someone with a criminal record who's affiliated with several other people with criminal records, and running a hypnosis clinic out of Brooklyn that also happens to prescribe Suboxone and Methadone, and they're peppering in all this wacky stuff on their hypnosis neuro-linguistic programming blog. It gets to a point where it's like, well, this looks like a duck, and it walks like a duck, and it quacks like a duck. I'm pretty sure this is a duck.
I just can't believe that because you're in the States, right? This is the American government, and this guy's still in practice?
It's unbelievable to me, and I know you and I, we've had a little bit of talk off air. We chatted a bit about MK Ultra, and MK Ultra is government experiments in mind control, and it began when our government purchased, Nazi scientists from Nazi Germany, and they felt like their choice was, okay, well, if we don't give these people leniency and bring them over here, and give them a life, then they're going to go to Russia, and they're going to give them all the intelligence, and America's going to be left behind. So they pardoned some people that some very horrific things to come here, and they figured, oh, well, if we can keep an eye on this person here, and hopefully, they don't do too much damage while they're here, they'll do less damage and, they could do from abroad.
And that is true, because I see it's all over the internet. It's been exposed that they did buy these doctors and scientists from Germany, back from the German war.
It was even in the new Captain America movie. That's how mainstream the concept is. But the doctors in the case, or the so-called doctors in the case that I'm dealing with, they came over from Russia shortly after the USSR collapsed. So, I don't have any definitive documents that tells me that these people are MK Ultra, but when I look into the fact that they're into neuro-linguistic programming / hypnosis, the fact that they're prescribing methadone and Suboxone, and the fact that the one partner has a significant record, including technically a class, I believe it's a class E felony, which is the lowest form of felony, class E, class D, whatever it is, grand larceny in a 4th degree. He's still a convicted felon. The man can't vote if he even became a citizen. I'm not sure if he did or he didn't, or if he entered the country legally or not. But the man can't vote, but he can seek out and treat female patients.
That's odd.
References to group sex and underage females and divorcees on his website, and pepper in something that says any man can act like a weakling, gigolo, or bastard sometimes, and don't hold it against them if it's not its real personality. This is crazy. I'm of the opinion that America's biggest export should be criminal illegal immigrants, and unfortunately, it's our second biggest import behind debt. And the only reason they're second behind debt is because they contribute to the debt as a part of the whole.
That's right. See, and people don't see this every day. A lot of people, they think, oh, life is just white picket fences, and I just do my daily routine of waking up, showering, brushing my teeth, shaving, and going to work, and then coming back.
Sure. I'm a martial artist, and, martial arts teaches peace, it teaches balance, patience.
See, and people need this kind of stuff.
Right, and it's extremely peaceful, especially Aikido. and the style I'm trained in has a lot to do with, pepperings in and philosophy of Aikido, and it's all about controlling your opponent without actually hurting them, taking complete control but not actually causing harm. And if we had a world full of people, if we took all the kumbaya people and taught them, okay, hold on to the kumbaya, but learn that you have to take control to balance things, to balance out evil, because, you completely not taking action and the kumbaya stuff, maybe it has, some underlying effect, yes, but no. You need people that are competent and capable to take action and control a situation, because if people of good conscience aren't controlling and shaping things in communities, in households, in governments, in corporations, in this world, any social system, if you're not a good person who's taking action to shape things, not in a controlling, dominating way to the point where you don't allow for positive growth, but if you can spot these signs of manipulation, of evil, if you're trained to look for this behavior, fence sitting, doesn't work. It doesn't help anybody. It may seem to help someone, who's not getting involved in the short term, but longer term, it's not a good thing.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Because people that have the condition of antisocial personality disorder, you're either an opponent, you're either a victim, or you're an opponent who's about to become a victim, or you're an asset, leverage-wise, towards going after an opponent or a victim, in which case makes you, victim.
But this is becoming very common, too. It seems to be spreading like a wild disease.
I absolutely believe that it's known as a learned and as a biological behavior, so we know that this can spread like a disease. It's just not often verbalized that, yes, okay, not the same as if you stand next to somebody and they sneeze, okay, you'll catch a common cold, but if you're in a work relationship that you're dealing with this type of personality this time, or you're specifically, and I would think, most effectively, your immediate family, if you're living with your immediate family, or a significant other, if you're living with a significant other that has this problem, those cases, the more exposure you have, the more likely you would be to engage in these behaviors, because it's a repetition, getting back to the Aldous Huxley principle of, okay, that middle 60% to varying degrees with repetition will assimilate. So you're talking about between the 20% that it's very easy for them to assimilate, and the 60% that to varying degrees you'll have success with assimilating. You're dealing with, about as a rough number, 80% of the population to some degree suggestible. And when you look at the ramifications and the potentials of this on the macro-social level as opposed to the micro-social, like what I'm dealing with, this would be more macro-social, looking at Nazi Germany.
Mind control was a psychological warfare weapon that Adolf Hitler regarded as the answer for taking over the entire planet. The name for the mind control research in this country was MK-Ultra.
MK-Ultra was one program of a series of programs that came out of the CIA to experiment with different types of mind control, using drugs, using electroshock, using insulin shock, and other techniques.
I think that the goal for those people who planned the program was very straightforward. It was an attempt to figure out a way to interrogate people and to learn how to protect their own agents against control by others. If you put someone in a position of being disabled by not feeding them or not allowing them to sleep or overwhelming them with sound, if you use massive shock treatment and you give people massive doses of drugs such as PCP or mescaline or amphetamines or LSD, and if you put them in periods of darkness where they can't predict from one minute to another what is going to happen next, so they're always dreading, there's no consistency to sort of what's going to happen, anybody can be put in a position of being open to brainwashing. Ewan Cameron was probably the foremost psychiatrist of his time in the 1950s. He was using high-tech sound techniques. He was using multiple kinds of loop recorders to force people to listen to recorded messages 24 hours a day for weeks on end to basically destroy people's thinking patterns.
Lysergic acid into the vein, and he patted me on the shoulder and said, "Now there, lassie, we'll see you later." And I started to feel very frightened, and the fright became a terror. And I sort of began throwing myself from one side of the room to the other. I didn't know what to do to stop this feeling. It felt like my bones were melting, that I just didn't know who I was anymore.
This is not just break-ins of people's homes. It's not just invasions of privacy by illegal wiretapping. This is an invasion of a person's mind. And that is about as profound an injury, except for loss of life, that the government can impose.
This was a post-Nazi program, if you will. It was an Americanization.
I've often made the statement, and I still make it flippantly. The Nazis didn't lose the war. They just had to move.
Now it's 50 years later. Now they're much more clever, much more sophisticated. They have a lot more money to spend.
Coordination was disrupted because of the compound's effect. Although his vision was not impaired, he found it difficult to focus his attention on the next objective. His physical actions were noticeably slower. He felt compelled to disobey his instructions.
Did Sergeant Tsytsarev give you any instructions about what you were supposed to do tomorrow? Tomorrow? What is today, Thursday? Today's Thursday. Today's Thursday. Well.
Wars are not won on the battlefield. They're won in the minds of the people.
When you realize that your entire relationship has been a fraud, that absolutely none of it was real, that the most profound experiences you've ever had in love, and every nuance, every subtle moment, every special moment, everything that you think you've bonded in is absolutely false. You were there alone, completely alone. It was one-sided. Is devastating beyond words. And so it completely altered. It was a life-altering event, and it almost killed me.
Enough! You are all of you beneath me. I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
God.
One thing is sure, a great change of our psychological attitude is imminent. That is certain.
Why?
Because we need more. We need more psychology. We need more understanding of human nature, because the only real danger that exists is man himself. He is the great danger. And we are pitifully unaware of it. We know nothing of man, far too little. His psyche should be studied, because we are the origin of all coming evil.